Let me know if that's better. Ken. Thanks, Carl. $7:29 in the morning. I can hear some grinding on the background there, so they're already starting away grinding for the day. Get some other shots here. I'm gonna move around the camera, get some other shots. But I started out the stream looking here to the right. On the very bottom right of the screen, there's a kind of a construction area, and this was one of the main reasons I'm doing this live stream. Over here, it looks like they have almost some type of stand over here on the west side of the launch site, and they've been building this up for a number of months, and so this is just west of pad A and B. This is pad B we're seeing back there where the Starship 20, I'm not sure which Starship that is, but there is one Starship there, and they're doing that building over there west of pad B, just a little bit to the west. And it looks like I noticed this morning, almost some type of a stand over there, right there. So a while back, maybe 4 months or longer, I speculated that this could be some type of a pad C area. Maybe I've never heard anyone say anything about a pad C. There's been talk about some type of flame diverter, but this looks to me like it could just be a stand for a Starship or something else. I'm not sure. I got some close-up shots with a Nikon, but even then it still looks to me like it's a stand. So we'll have to see what they do over in this area. They have quite a bit of that red e-brick over there. I said this earlier in the stream, and so it looks like they're going to be doing some type of electrical conduit routing. So over the last couple days, there have been a handful of people who've joined the company, whether as an advisor or as a team member. There's a lot more people that I've talked with, so that thing is moving forward. I just want to be sure that I'm picking out people not only that have aerospace skill and talent, but also that will help us accomplish and complete the Enceladus mission. So if any of you are have done some work, have been a team member of any of those 8 proposals to NASA or to the German Space Agency or some other type of country space agencies, I'd love to reach out to you and chat with you about what you saw in your Enceladus proposal, because there's many different proposals. The difference about the Ocean Camera Space Corp proposal is that it's a private mission. We're not seeking to do it through NASA or any other government agency, and we're seeking to make it profitable for investors by collecting and storing thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of gallons of the water for sale to other space organizations. So that's the difference between the mission that we're planning here at Ocean Camera Space Corp versus pretty much every other space proposal to Enceladus. Some of the differences why that's the case is I'm not seeking to, as the CEO of Ocean Camera Space Corp, I'm not seeking to find life in space. A lot of people are motivated about space because they want to find life. And so a lot of the people who are scientists or engineers, they're focusing on satisfying the scientific and the world population through the discovery of some type of life form that most humans on the earth would call life. So that's not the purpose here at OceanCam. The purpose for us is to collect water. So the reason for that is because I believe, because I've done a lot of meditation in the past. I've gone to the Courtney Brown Farsight Institute I've done a remote viewing course there in the 90s. I've done over 10 courses at the Monroe Institute, where a lot of the military people go to learn remote sensing and others. The Stargate was out of the remote. Skip Atwater was one of the mission project people over at the remote Monroe Institute. So I studied that. He was my neighbor. I actually moved to the Monroe Institute. I lived there for over 13 years on my property there. So, and he was my neighbor, Skip was, and so was Joe McMoneagle, and so they were involved in the Stargate project. And I got into that stuff in 1996 is when I took my first program at the Monroe Institute. So I've taken over 10 programs there. I've become an outreach trainer. I could teach other people how to go out of body and do stuff like that. I became a world expert in that in 2001, 2002. So for me, I'm not. I've gone beyond the 5 senses of most scientists on the Earth. So I'm a world expert when it comes to remote sensing and out-of-body experiences, and also knowledge about the benefits of meditation and what's to be achieved by the majority of the population on the planet. So I'm not looking to find life, because in my worldview, life is everywhere throughout the universe and the galaxy and also the solar system. There's not a single place in the universe that's not alive. So for me, there's no excitement for me really in finding life as the majority of humans on the earth would call something alive. I've already met non-human intelligences my first experiences were in 1997 with non-human entities. So it's interesting how there's some stuff coming out recently about UFOs in the mainstream media, or some people call it the lamestream media, but the mainstream media, there's a lot of some stuff coming out, whether it's just human craft or other craft, doesn't matter. So it's interesting how that is coming into the world concept. But for me, my experiences started in 1996, and I've been out of body. I've been off the planet. I've been to Mars. I went there out of body, and I was in orbit, and then I was on the planet. So for me, I've spoken a lot on this channel about the capabilities of traveling without rockets and spaceships. But I see the value in getting rockets, ships, and other stuff over there and putting stuff in a container so that it will inspire future travelers and children and people all over the planet. For those people who haven't had the meditative or the ESP or the out-of-body experience or some type of other abilities for experience, getting there in the rockets is going to be beneficial for them, because it'll give them an expanded worldview or an expanded concept of what's possible. So not only is it important to inspire people in the meditative sense, but also to inspire them here, wherever the people are, because what I've come to is that everything is equally powerful in terms of the universe. So if there's only one being in the universe, the one being can't be any more powerful than itself. If there's only one being in the universe, it can't be any more powerful than any other point of its consciousness throughout all the universe. So wherever that being is, in whatever body that being is inhabiting or functioning, whether it's in a human body or an animal body or an alien body, or even the rocks and the trees and the water and the different elements, wherever that awareness is functioning, the consciousness of the universe, it's alive. So it can't be any more powerful than itself. What it can have, the awareness of the universe, can have more capability in the different bodies, different abilities to sense and become aware, and different abilities to remember and store information and use it. So what we've developed here in the physical bodies and the human bodies is the ability to have a almost objectify, but have an other, for there to be, if we were to talk about a computer, so if we have your phone or your computer screen and you're watching the show, everything on your computer is considered within the bounds of the user. So if you have a computer, you log in, you have access to the whole computer, all right? So if I have a computer over here and I log into my computer, I have access to the computer over here. But you don't have access to my computer, because we've developed this division in the access to the different computers. So my computer is only accessed by me over here, and your computer is accessed by you over there. If you were able to maybe enter the electricity that goes into my computer, you would have access to my computer as well. Same thing, if I had access to the electricity and I could transfer or hitchhike along the electrons or the electricity, or the however that works actually in reality, if I could hitchhike into the consciousness that goes into your computer, I could have access to your computer. So that's the same thing. And throughout the universe, there's only the one awareness, only the one consciousness, which permeates and pervades and is within all the different elements and all the different bodies. So that consciousness, just as that consciousness in you is alive, some people like to call it a simulation, but there's only one thing in if anything in the universe exists, then everything else exists, because there's only the one consciousness. It's everywhere. So it's only as far as having access to other information or to other beings or to other aspects of yourself. The stretch there in accessing that knowledge or that perception is just a matter of loosening your self-identity, removing the division between me and you, and just accessing the raw data of perception. So that's what meditation is partly about. There's a few different directions you can go in meditation. One, you can go into the world here and now and you can look at stuff. Some people say, well, how can you prove that the out-of-body stuff, how can you prove that meditation can actually give you access to other senses and maybe other beings, and how can you prove that there really is an out-of-body experience? Or can you go to the other side of the room and look at what's underneath inside the bucket? Or can you go look and see what's inside the safe? Or can you go to the other side of the building and tell me what's on top of the ladder? These type of things. So those things are possible and they've been done, and you can do them yourself. If I do them and then I tell you what I saw, you might still not believe it. You're like, well, how do I know he really didn't see that beforehand, or someone didn't call him on the phone and tell him what was there? So really the way to prove it for yourself is to actually do it yourself. So for me, I started that stuff in 1996, and I spent a year really trying to prove to myself that it really was real. And then I spent another 4 years continuing to do more and explore the universe. And when I use the word universe, I'm really talking about explore the universe. So if you had the ability to go out of body and not only to turn back toward your body, and not only to see the thoughts spinning around your body, and not only to go into other bodies, but to go off the planet and to visit other beings, would you, if you had the opportunity to do that, to go off the planet and do almost anything in the universe that you would like, would you spend your time doing card tricks with someone who wants to? Would you spend your time trying to prove it to somebody that it's really real? So, considering how special it is to have one of those experiences, and then to get really good where you could do it more than once, do it over and over. I did it over 100 times within the first couple of years, over 100 intentional out-of-body experiences. So would you spend your time on those valuable experiences when you finally get out of body doing card tricks? So if you were to ask me to prove it to you, I would say it's not worth my time. I've already done all these things. I proved to myself, I've proved to some other people many years ago. So 1996 is when I started. So for me, it's not about finding a life in the universe, because for me, the whole universe is alive, and there's only one being which permeates the universe. So for a lot of people who haven't done any meditation, they're getting into college, or they're just getting out, they're getting their PhD, or they've been working at NASA for 5 years or whatever, or maybe they're in a special Defense Department project or whatever. Many of these people have not had any extrasensory perception or unordinary or beyond the ordinary experiences. So they are still locked in within the 5 senses. So for them, they're still trying to find life in the universe. So the OCEAN mission is not to find life, but to guarantee survival off the Earth, and to inspire humanity about the potential, looking at the not looking at the solar system, and also expanding out beyond to the galaxy. And once you get to the galaxy, then you kind of get interested in other areas of the universe. So out of body, you can travel off the planet, you can go into the solar system, into the galaxy. It only takes less than a few minutes to get anywhere in the universe that you want to go. So it's more a matter of how strong is your will. What is your will? What do you want to do within the universe? And that's a true statement. What do you want to do within the universe? Because there is really free access to you, the listener or the observer, to experience any location within the whole universe, and not only in this dimension, in other dimensions. So you have the ability to not only get off the Earth, not only to go to Mars, you have the ability to go anywhere in this dimension and any other dimension. And so that only takes less than a year to have that one of those experiences. So many people want proof, but they don't want to do the work. So if you lived in the 80s, in the 1980s, there were many movies that I believe inspired me. They were helpful for me to get interested in some of the meditation stuff. Mr. Miyagi with the Karate Kid, and also E.T., and many other movies like that. So those are some mildly inspirational movies. I say mildly because the movie can only take you so far. You have to do the work to go the rest of the way. So I was very interested in science, space, and technology and all that stuff, NASA and asteroids, when I was a young, in my teens, and also in growing up in the 5 to about 18 years old. I was interested in all that stuff, 5 years old. And so that progressed. When I became 19, I had an out-of-body experience. So that was my progression from interest in space to eventually having real experiences beyond the human confines of the human world as many people see it. So, but I believe this type of a trip into space, off the Earth, to collect water for Ocean Camera Space Corp and for the rest of the planet, the population here, it will be an inspiration, not only in the mission design and the mission, every stage of the mission, but also in that getting the video of the water on these different moons, starting with Enceladus. And we'll be able to see the geysers. At the minimum, we'll be able to see the water geysers as they shoot out over 200 kilograms per second. 200 kilograms per second from the southern region of Enceladus of ice going out into the atmosphere around, in that zone around Saturn. The E-ring is called, you can look at the E-ring is kind of like Enceladus, the area around the moon Enceladus around Saturn. E for Enceladus, and I believe the name E-ring came from the Enceladus, the ice particulate in that zone around Saturn is centered around the moon Enceladus, so that's probably why they called it the E-ring. If you look at the other rings, all the other rings around Saturn, it's not by A, B, C, D. It's not in order. The E-ring is out of place when you look at the other A, B, C, D, all the other rings around Saturn. But I believe they put the E-ring where it is around Saturn, and they named it the E-ring because that the particulate from there is coming from the moon Enceladus. So we will be able to get that video footage of the geysers on the South Pole region. Pretty interesting. The Germans, the DLR, have been working on this technology to do the ice mole. You could, like an MOLE, one of those animals that makes burrs holes into the ground. So the Germans have been working, DLR have been working on a ice mole for almost maybe 8 years. They started their mission in 2012 to land onto the ice on Enceladus. They don't necessarily have a water collection mission. They may have a plume sampling mission and some other stuff like that. But so we might be able to collaborate with the DLR. I've talked with a gentleman over there named Mark. So there is a open communication, and I might be able to have a few of those DLR members as an advisor here at OceanCam, or some other opportunities are to do a partnership with the DLR. We can do partnerships with other NASA agencies as well, different teams. There's over 8 teams working on Enceladus missions over the last 15 years. There have been different groups teams that have proposed things to NASA and other space agencies. So I'm not looking to go through the NASA channel. We may do some involvement with NASA as well. So that's to be seen. But we could form partnerships with these different space organizations, or some type of B2B, business to business. Maybe they would provide some of the hardware or technology, and we could do a partnership on the space mission. The water collection is going to be part of the investors for Ocean Camera Space Corp. If some of the other teams or some of the other agencies want to have some of the particulate, some of the earth material that we get from the water, if we filter it, that's a possibility, and we could send that filtration particulate back to NASA and some of the other space organizations if they'd like to participate as well. So that's an opportunity, and we can trade off deep space network time and some other stuff. If they'd like to have some of that particulate, we can make some deals. Contact us at Ocean Camera Space Corp or Paul at oceansinspace.com, and there's many other ways to contact us here at Ocean Camera Space Corp. So I'll check out the chat. I thought it was important to just say some of those things again. We're making progress here. Hey Charlie, nice to see you here in the chat. I like it when the sun goes behind the different rockets. We get some really good lighting. So for the people that have joined either as advisors or as team members, there is over the next month and a half or so, a due diligence time frame, a due diligence period, where we're going to make sure everybody's a good fit for each other, and we will be signing different agreements and contracts and stuff like that. So I've got a bunch of that already printed out. We just got to put the people's names in and do some modifications and pass drafts back and forth, sign NDAs and stuff like that. So it's an exciting time. Here at SpaceX, we're looking at a tentative March 11th launch of the booster back there on the tower with one of the starships on top. NASA has slated a aircraft to be in the area for March 11th to observe or be around when that's happening with the Starship booster launch. So that's what we're looking forward to here at SpaceX launch site. Ocean Camera Space Corp, we've been doing video here for almost the last 2 years. Started in April 1st of 2021. So in another month and a half, 2 months, we're going to be at the 2-year mark. It's been a lot of fun. We've done over 1,500 videos and had over 6,500,000 views. So there's been a lot of interesting times over almost the last 2 years. Looking forward, I can imagine if we keep moving forward, and if the interest is still there, we will have many more millions of views. And that's good, because we want, when we get that video imagery from Enceladus, we want people to be interested in it, and we want to make make an impact, you could say. We just want it to be, I want that imagery to get out of having seen from the surface, and even better would be to see from inside the ocean on Enceladus with a visible spectrum video camera. We'll have some infrared too, because if there's no light, or we can have some lights on the next to the camera too, but if it's not so easy to see when we get there, we want to also have that capability of doing infrared, possibly some other spectra as well, but definitely visible spectrum, infrared, and possibly some others. So inside the ocean would be great. I'm not against taking video imagery of any what people would consider living creatures in the ocean on Enceladus. So if we can do visible spectrum and some of the others, that's the plan. So if you go to the oceancam.space website, or you can type in oceansinspace.com, they all take you to the oceancam.space website. And there's a how. If you go to the menu in the nav bar, there's a how section, and that shows some of the different camera companies that I've either talked to or found over the last 2 years who can make space-ready cameras. I know there's an exploration company out of Europe that has already done asteroid missions with their cameras, and I chatted with them in 2021 at the Space Tech Expo in Long Beach, California. So we have access to companies that can create the types of cameras that we need. So their cameras, I don't know if they're capable of going in the ocean or the water, or how many atmospheres they can withstand. So we're looking for a camera that can withstand not only negative 200 degrees Celsius, the temperature of the surface of Enceladus, or maybe we would go even colder, say negative 350 Celsius, if that's even possible, all the way up to in the positive Celsius range, a couple hundred positive Celsius. So because there's such a wide spectrum of the temperature, so from negative 350 to positive, however high we can get, that makes the camera more expensive. I think we're looking at like $100,000 for the camera, which isn't a lot, but that's how much the camera which went to one of these asteroids cost. And so in addition to that, we have to look at the pressure. So in space, it's more toward the vacuum or to near zero. I mean, in space, it's not really a vacuum. It's more of a vacuum than it is here on the Earth, in the atmosphere here on Earth. But it's close to what we would consider a vacuum. But there's, so we have that very low pressure in space. And then we're also looking to go into the ocean on Enceladus. So that's going to be, if we're successful in getting into the ocean, I don't know how deep we're going to go, but for every 30 feet here on the Earth, it's 1 atmosphere. 33 feet or something like 30 to 33 feet is every 30 feet deep you go, it's 1 atmosphere. So if we can go 6 atmospheres, so that spectrum, that difference in pressure from 6 atmospheres to near zero vacuum, if we can have a camera do that, in addition to having the extremes of the temperature, those are some of the considerations we're looking at when we get a camera. So, one, we got to get the camera there, we got to get the mission there, we got to get the container there, or some way of storing the water, and then we have to bore or enter with however big the camera is, or maybe there's multiple cameras. Hopefully there's multiple cameras, at least 5 different cameras, and get them maybe 1 or 2 above one of the geysers, and then at least 3 or more, get them into the ice, down some of those portals into the geyser, or from the side. The Germans have been proposing and building the technology to bore from the side of one of the geysers, but we're looking at maybe a mile or less of digging, or It could just be a heat. Maybe it's a camera in some type of a heat, radioactive heat canister or something, which just slowly over time sinks into the ice. So that's another opportunity to sink it down or to core into the ice and go that way. And there's been many proposals on the. There's a research on the oceancam.space website. If you go to the on LinkedIn as well, there's a link to it on LinkedIn. I have a research. I think it's called ResearchGate. If you go to that research page, it's where I put the link to all the different chat groups, the Mighty Network, as well as Slack. I've got a link to that from LinkedIn, but also on the OceanCam website. If you could search for it in the search bar, you can key in Slack or search for Mighty, and that'll bring you to the page on the oceancam.space website where you can look at the link to the ResearchGate, where you can, when you get to that research portal where all the different pages, reports that people have done about Enceladus and all the other research stuff, you can see some of the different missions. And yeah, there have been several different ways of going into the geysers proposed. If you go to the LinkedIn page for Ocean Camera Space Corp, I have posted a few links of some of those methods. There's I posted 2 of them in the last month. So if you scroll through the company page on LinkedIn, I've got some stuff there as well. So if you didn't want to search for the ResearchGate. So if you're on LinkedIn, reach out or look for me. You can go to the oceancam.space website and go to the contact area, and you can see the different links for the how to reach out on LinkedIn and some of the other areas. I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach out if you'd like to. Facebook as well, Twitter. Also here on YouTube, there's some of those links as well in the About section. So have a good day. I'm gonna prepare for the activities of today and have some breakfast and stuff like that. Wherever you're watching this from, I wish you the best. I know Ken's over there in Florida, and Chari, I'm not remembering where you are. Tony, nice to see you again. I believe up in England or the UK. And good day to you. Good luck. I think we all need some luck. And they say the harder you work, the luckier you get. So I don't know if that's true or not, but definitely doesn't hurt to keep moving things forward and hoping for the best. So that's what I'm doing here. Mr. MBB, good stuff. Thanks, everybody. Charlie, I'll wind it down. There's a tourist bus coming by, so there are some tours happening. Tourist bus just went by. Pretty interesting to see that happen. That's happening more and more, so I guess if you're interested in tours, there are some companies here doing tours. I can do it here at Ocean Camera Space Corp as well. There's some people that have a van with can seat 12 additional people, so we can do tours here. The van seats 14, but we can do groups of 8 or more if you'd like to do a tour. We have that capability. Just send us an email or contact me. I think my phone number is here on YouTube. You can contact me here and we can set something up. So if you're thinking about coming out for the launch, look forward to seeing you. I'll be around and we can meet up or just support SpaceX and their next stages here. If you'd like to do camping, let me know. I have some space here at the remote camera site, and I will open it up to some people throughout the next, who knows how long, but definitely I got some camping spaces now. The key issue there is whenever there's a road closure, you gotta vacate the area. So we are within the 2-mile radius of the launch site here, so the Ocean Camera Space Corp property is within that area. So that would be the one stipulation for camping. Weekends are guaranteed you would be fine. Friday night through Sunday. A lot of the times on Monday they'll do a road closure, etc. So you could possibly, if there's no road closure on a Friday, move in on a Friday, and then go somewhere. I mean, I could give you a lift and we could go to town or hang out until the road closure is over and then come back for the camping, etc. So that's the one thing that needs to happen when there's a road closure and camping, etc. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I will catch you next time. More stuff's happening here. Whether today's your last day on the earth or maybe the last moment, if you're hearing this for the last few seconds of your life, I wish you the best. We will meet again because I believe we're all one being and nothing is created or destroyed. So I believe we will meet again because we're all connected, and I wish you the best if you're in the last moments of your life. If you are going to be living a little bit longer and you're still on your deathbed, I would recommend one of my favorite diet people is Agnes von der Planets. Agnes wrote a few books. One of them was called We Want to Live. We Want to Live. And one of the things he wrote in his book, and I met him in 2008, I met him in Hawaii. And he said, one of the stories he tells is, if he ever met somebody on their deathbed, his advice, if you read it in his book or listen to his audios, as a nutritionist or whatever, he used to say that he would recommend, or he recommended, eating as many raw eggs as you could. So, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger used to eat raw eggs in his smoothies when he was weightlifting. So when I was in high school and stuff like that, I used to do some raw egg smoothies occasionally. And now I do actually have a raw protein mix, which I throw in with some raw eggs. And I mixed in some other stuff just to make it palatable. But Agnes would say, eat as many raw eggs as you can if you're on your deathbed, as many as you physically can. And if you survive till the next day, if you're like on your deathbed and you want to live another day, maybe give it a shot, is what he would say. I'm not recommending it. This is just third person, what Agnes used to say. And I like Agnes, so that's my own personal diet as well. And I'm not advising anything, but check with your doctor, and you can check the disclaimer at the bottom of this live stream. It says this is not financial advice, this is not health advice, this is just personal perspective and what I've personally do. And check with your doctor always. And this is just a YouTube channel and also a company. So thanks for watching. Tune in next time here on Ocean Camera Space Corp, whether it's in this dimension or another one. See you.